Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 342 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week, kicking things off with the owner of MTG Goldfish, Richard. How's it going this fine Monday, Richard?
Hey Seth, how's it going? Doing well?
I'm doing well as well. It's an oddly quiet week in the Magic world, but we'll get to that in a minute. We got another co-host, and Grim, what's up today, Grim?
Well, I guess it was a moderately quiet week, but I mean, there's some big news that dropped this week I can't wait to talk about, and it hits me, I guess, a little bit more because it was something I was very excited for. But yes, having an all right morning otherwise, Seth.
Well, that's all right is better than bad, at least. So
Yeah.
we'll take it. So anyway, today, we don't really have spoilers. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming up shortly. Tomorrow, there's a big announcement stream with all the products for 2022 and Universes Beyond and all that stuff. So we'll get a bunch of news tomorrow. Presumably, spoilers start on next Monday. So we're going to have Innistrad spoilers soon. But this week, we're kind of bouncing around a little bit from topic to topic. We have news on the Magic Neflix show that we're going to start off with. We wanted to talk about a new secret lair drop that was just announced, box toppers making their return in Innistrad, the announcement day that I just mentioned, and then answering a bunch of fish mail. It's a good week to answer a bunch of fish mail questions. So we're going to bounce around from topic to topic. Before we do, though, a reminder that our show today is brought to you by Card Conduit. And Card Conduit, you've probably heard about them from us before. They're a great way to sell your Magic collection, and they are offering a new service that's geared towards selling smaller batches of valuable cards with a reduced service fee. You can use their curated shipment service to sell your cards at the best available buy list price with only a 5% service fee. And as with all Card Conduit services, you don't gotta sort your cards, you don't gotta grade them, nothing like that. You can just safely pack them up and ship them out, and of course you'll get a detailed report with the results. So you can check out Card Conduit's curated shipment option as a way to buy list up to 150 cards with fast processing, optimized prices, and the low service fee of just 5%. And right now you can even get 10% off by going to cardconduit.com/goldfish. So Card Conduit, they're the easiest way to sell your Magic cards, and thank you to them for supporting the show today. So let's talk some Magic, starting with maybe the biggest piece of news that came out this week, which is about the Magic Neflix show, the long rumored Magic Neflix show. We got some new information, some changes that are going on. Richard, what is the news that we got about the show?
I don't know, Seth. What is the news? I actually don't know. I just know very high level details.
Okay, so the information, Krim, do you know the news?
Actually, you know what, Seth? I don't. I want to hear if you know the news.
Okay. So
Seth doesn't know either. Podcast is over.
Yes, shortcast this week. Thanks for coming, everyone. So the news is the Netflix show. It was originally supposed to be made by the Russo brothers, who I don't really know X-Men and whatnot, but they're pretty famous, right? Like, who are the Russo brothers? I know you guys know that. So who are the Russo brothers first?
X-Men? Okay, anyways, it's like the X-Men. It's the Avengers movie. And of course, Winter Soldier, which is the Captain America movie, and Civil War, and then of course there's Endgame and Infinity War.
Okay, so very well-known producers,
Yes.
the Russo brothers. So the Russo brothers are going to be making this show. It's been 2 years. It was originally announced in 2019, I think, and we haven't heard many updates. Well, the update this week is the Russo brothers are out, along with basically their entire team, their writers and so forth. Coming in to take over the show is Jeff Klein, who I guess was an executive producer on Transformers Prime or something. So Jeff Klein, and they're also switching the animation studio to Snowball Studios. So it sounds like they're kind of starting over almost from scratch. There's going to be a new story with a new director, a new writing team, a new animation studio. So 2.5 years into this process, back to square one by the sound. So Krim, I know you were really hyped about this show. What do you think of these changes?
Yeah, this is the biggest news to me, so far. And this one probably hit me a little bit more because I was really, really, really excited for this show. And I mean, just because I've always wanted to see Magic kind of have that kind of TV show, like how we had Pokemon or any of those shows growing up, you know? And it was like time for Magic to finally shine. I was excited to see where this could go, what's like the animation style. They had the Russo bros, and now they have, I don't know. The thing here is like I know that they have the executive producer of Transformers Prime. Now, I actually liked Transformers Prime. I thought that was a good show. And I mean, the new studio, does this now mean that it's moving into a more CG animated direction, right? Because like this, before it was kind of led to believe, like you were led to believe that it wasn't entirely CG. We weren't really sure at that point, but now we've gotten an update and it's apparently going to be CG and it's going to have, Transformers Prime's executive producer. That is big to me, because as a shift in animation is going to be a little bit weird. I was expecting it to be a little more along the lines of like Avatar or, Kiora, like, not Kiora, sorry. The other Avatar, like Korra, not Kiora, close. But yeah, I thought it'd be along those lines, but it's actually now moving in the direction of CG. So maybe there's still hope. As I said, Transformers Prime was a very good show, still solid if you were a fan of Transformers, and if you weren't, it definitely was a great starting point for newer, like, Transformers fans. So I'm hoping that though they switched it up, and though we lose the Russo brothers, I feel like it still could be in good hands. If you watched a show like Dragon Prince, then you'll know that 3D animation has only gotten better, and it's just gonna be a little bit different, but I have hope. And if it's anything like Dragon Prince's animation, I'll be excited. So this is a huge setback because I'm worried, much like, we had mentioned earlier, Seth, is it just going to be one of those things where it's just going to kind of be in limbo forever now? Because without the Russo bros being signed on, who are like A-list directors and all that stuff, right? Is this still going to be a priority for them? If I read it correctly, the Russo brothers specifically brought Jeff Klein in for this position because they wanted him to work on it. And of course, there's a story editor who worked on, the Clone Wars for Star Wars, if you're a fan of that. And so there's a lot of solid 3D like animated shows here, like on everybody that's been brought on's like, resume. So this is what's leading me to believe that they don't just bring anybody on, right, for like this. I'm glad they didn't, but I don't think they just bring in, people with a resume like that and have it sit on the back burner. Although I do get a little bit worried just because this was announced and now it's fallen to the wayside. Now they've lost, I've been wondering where it's been. They lost the directing team. They brought in a new one. Is this a real concern? Like, are they going to actually make this a priority?
Yeah, that is a question. I think no matter how you look at this, it's got to be considered a downgrade. No offense to Jeffrey Klein, who I don't know, this isn't my area, but the Russo brothers, that's a name that I have even heard, and I don't know much about people who direct X-Men and Avengers and so forth. So I think this has got to be a downgrade. Even like the animation studios, Snowball Studios, I did a little bit of research on the two different studios. Snowball has like a handful of employees and like $5 million or less in revenue a year, when Bardell Entertainment has like $300 and $500 million of revenue a year. So it seems like they're going with a much smaller, maybe startup style studio compared to what they were going with before. So I think those are concerns to some extent. And we don't know what happened behind the scene. Maybe the Russo brothers were like, we don't want to do this. Like, we don't want to make a magic show. We thought we did, but now we don't. So we don't know why we're at this point, but I think it's fair to be less excited about the possibilities of the show today than before this announcement. What do you think about all this, Richard?
Yeah, looking at the style of Snowball Studios, it looks like it's going to be like a kids show or something like that, right? Like, it's the very 3D in your face, like, kids, and like if you watch like YouTube kids shows, like you'll like recognize the style immediately.
Veggie Tales, legitimately Veggie Tales,
like anime style, or like like the serious like a serious gritty magic show, not like Saturday morning cartoons. But even if it's Saturday morning cartoons for like, I don't know, how old do you have to be to watch cartoons? Like, I feel like it's they're skewing for the young kids to sell toys as opposed to like, you know, people like us would enjoy, right? Like, so.
It's really interesting you mentioned that, because if you look at Jeff Klein's IMDb profile, yeah, he did do Transformers Prime, but the list of shows that he has done, most of them are kids' cartoons. My Friend Tigger and Pooh, Dragon Tales, Jackie Chan Adventures, Harold and the Purple Crayon. So most of his filmography, or whatever you want to call it, is Woody the Woodpecker. It's little kids' cartoons, and that kind of lines up with what you said about the production studio as well, the animation studio. So maybe that is the direction they're heading. This is going to be a little kids cartoon that's going to try to sell, I don't know, Jace Barbie dolls or whatever. Like, I don't know, some sort of like
13 and up, where the Premier card came for 13 and up. But like, it doesn't make any sense. You can't sell to kids. You got to sell to teenagers and like boomers. So
I will be that's very true, actually, when you think about that, because like I'm wondering, how do you sell, like, think about the pacts and like the darker side of Magic. Are you just gonna like ignore that part of it? Because how do you bring that to a kids TV show? That
you don't. Yeah. You don't. That's how.
But at the same time, okay, let's assume that, you know, maybe the Magic show will be darker. It's just they're like the people they've brought on, their resume and like, you know, their discography or whatever, their filmography doesn't have a lot of dark stuff yet, but this will be their first entry into it. I'm hoping it's darker, because you can still, I kind of thought this was, as I had mentioned, like kind of like marketed, it would have been marketed at the very least ages 13 and up, like 13 and up. But I mean, Transformers Prime, I would say, was pretty good, and it looked like it was kind of meant for kids, right? Like, I don't know if any of you watched it. It's like the old show called Reboot, all of that stuff. It has that animation style, and I have to imagine that with the studio they went with the animation for this show, it'll be along those lines. So if you're okay with those kind of shows, I mean, I think you can still have that kind of animation and have it still be marketed towards older crowds. But I do think that it won't attract the crowds that are like 40 plus. You'll be attracting the crowds. Like, I would be considered the tail end, I think.
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense. So what do you think about the idea that this means the show's not going to happen? Like, is there any risk of that? It was first announced in 2019. We're now in 2021. It sounds like they're basically starting over at scratch, new story, new team. Should we be expecting this show to actually come out sometime in the somewhat near future? Or do you think in 2023... we're going to be hearing about another new team taking over, or maybe just not hear anything about it at all? Like, is this a bad sign for the show happening at all, do you think?
I hope that it happens, but I think what's going to happen is it's going to be 2 years and then it's just going to come out. We're not going to have any updates. It's just going to drop in 2 years or a year and a half. And it's going to be, dare I say, not too good. I mean, okay, I hope it's not. But at the same time, with the change up in teaming, like the writing team and whatnot, or like the whole team, like just on the show, I don't know. Now I'm a little bit worried, but I kind of have to have faith. But I think it's going to just we're not going to have any info on it, and it's just going to drop out of nowhere.
Look, if you told me that Wizards is coming up with a new show, I would automatically assume it's hot garbage. Okay, just like, you know, if there's a new mobile Magic game coming out or a new like Magic IP game, I'm like, by default, it's garbage. The only thing that was saving this was the Russo. You're like, the Russo brothers. Right. They wouldn't sign on to do garbage. They would ruin their name, right? But so the fact that they signed on and now they're walking away, that tells me Wizards wanted to make garbage, right? Because they're like, I'm not putting my name on this, right? They're like, nah, right? Like, I have a reputation. I'm out of here, right? So that is my default line of thought. Wizards has to prove to me, because, like, remember, what's the last foray into this? Like the Dungeons and Dragons movie? I don't know.
Oh God,
right?
So
like,
bad.
They don't have a good track record of this, so I am not getting my hopes up. If I'm pleasantly surprised, that's awesome, right? But yeah, it's
They-
just the
They're gonna
Russo
need a
brothers
good
was the
writing
only
team.
thing holding it together. It was
Yeah.
the only thing holding this together. Now it's back to questionable quality, right?
They're going to need a very good writing team to sell this, because at the same time, if you're making it for young kids, how do you sell Magic, the lore, right? Like, how do you sell that to the young kids? And if you're telling me obviously, I think the anchor point here is they would have to go with the Gatewatch. And Gideon will be back, and we know what's going to happen to him. But the thing here is the kids won't, so I guess that's one way. And I think with a really good writing team, though, as much as I heard Seth kind of like sigh a little bit at the idea of the Gatewatch, I think the Gatewatch is still doable. It just has to be written well. Right? We've seen a lot of the Gatewatch in the last 10, 15 years. But maybe with a good writing team, this is how you get the next generation to watch the show Magic, and then that brings them and like gets them into the game of Magic. Because technically, the Pokemon show got me into the game. And when I got into Pokemon, I had no idea how to play. That game is way more complicated than it should be for kids. But and that'll be the same for Magic, right? So if with a good writing team, Magic could be cool. All right, this could be the Saturday cartoon. All right, I gotta believe.
Is there any risk? So let's say the worst happens. They make the show, and it's as horrible as we fear it could be in the worst case scenario. Does that hurt the game overall? Or is this just like so separate from the game that it doesn't actually matter? Because I know like the Street Fighter movie, for example, is like known to be one of the worst movies of all time. And people still love Street Fighter. So the game is still, fine.
There's no way you're going to call out Magic for making trash and then tell me you like Street Fighter, the movie.
As a kid, I love that movie. Mortal Kombat, eat that up.
No way. There's no way. That movie is so bad.
I should try rewatching it with my adult standards to see.
I don't
what it's
think
really
you
like.
should. I really don't. I rewatched the Mortal Kombat movie from the 90s or whatever because I loved that as a kid because I love Mortal Kombat. I watched it again. I'm like, this did not hold up all too well. But I love it. But it's like, oh. And like Goonies, I watched Goonies again. I'm like, oh, this is not as good as I remember seeing it as a kid. So, but I will say that to answer Seth's question, I think it's only upside for Magic, actually. Even if they release this and it absolutely tanks and we've got another Street Fighter, but serialized, I think it's no loss to Magic, right? They weren't even in this like field before. Granted that the next generation might be like, Magic? Isn't that one really, really bad TV show? Like, maybe that's how it is. Because, I mean, for me, my first exposure was to the movie. And I'm like, oh, man, D&D was a really bad movie. But it turns out there's a game. So the thing here is, I think that Magic actually... Is Magic even on the radar for kids, right? Is this something that's even on the radar for for people outside of our like social circles? And I think this is probably okay for them to venture into that world because if they lose that audience, they never had them anyways, right? They never had them anyways, and I doubt they were going to get them anyways. Magic, the TV show doing well, gives them a shot at getting in there, so I guess it's all upside. So the worst case scenario, it drops. It's absolutely terrible. Anybody that wasn't already into Magic or whatever that doesn't know the game would never get into it, and that's fine because they weren't going to get into it anyways, right? I think that's only upside. It's only upside, even if it just sucks for us. Like we might take it personally, but yeah.
I mean, I think that's true. It's hard to imagine anyone like selling their collection because the TV show is just so horrible. Like I'm done. Don't ruin the game for me.
Don't jinx it, Seth. Don't jinx it. It could be that bad.
Anyway, any other thoughts on the TV show before we move on to some other topics?
Well, okay. Any other thoughts is if the show is already going to be a stinker and whatnot and all of that, hey, Magic or anybody that's working on the show, if you need a voice actor, I will gladly be on that show.
We're just putting the nail in the coffin at that point.
Yeah.
Would you like to voice Jace the Mind Sculptor?
Well, sure, I would.
All right, there was also another announcement this week of a secret lair drop. Secret lair alert, Richard. What's the deal with the secret lair drop?
All right, we got a surprise secret lair announcement on Sunday, I believe, of all days to make announcements, and they are celebrating Hasbro PulseCon, which is happening in October. I don't know what PulseCon is, but it seems like it's a virtual HasCon of some sort, where they're doing a bunch of stuff with Hasbro IP. But for Magic players, we get a secret lair featuring cats, I guess, in like a very distinct art style. We have Chain Lightning, Generous Gift, Heirloom Blade, and Kodama's Reach. So these will be exclusive to PulseCon. We don't have details on how to order it or any of that yet, but I'm going to assume we'll get more information as they reveal more stuff about PulseCon. And PulseCon is in October.
Yeah, there's a page up. If you look up PulseCon, they're actually a page with a whole bunch of different exclusive products they're gonna have. It's got products across Hasbro's lineup, so all the different IPs that they have going. Doesn't have prices listed yet. I'm actually gonna be really curious to see what they charge for this. The art's cool. And some of the cards are pretty playable, like Generous Gift is a commander staple, Kodama's Reach is a commander staple. On the other hand, I think, I looked it up yesterday, Chain Lightning, I believe, is the most valuable card, and it's like $2.25 or something, with the other cards all being significantly less than $2, $1.50, some of them under $1. So altogether, if you just like added up the value of these cards, it's like $7 or something. Like, it is not a lot of money. Does the price play into this at all? Like, when you look at a secret lair, you're like, wow, like, sure, the art's kind of cool, but why would I spend $30 on this when I could pick up the, cheaper versions of these cards for $5, for $7? Or do you think maybe they sell this cheaper to promote PulseCon? Maybe it's a $10 secret lair drop or something, which we've never seen before, but that would kind of line up with the value of these cards?
No, I mean, I think this is going to be a $30 secret lair at the least.
you love promos more than any of us, Grim. Would you spend $30 on this?
If you look, okay, can you go down the list again, Seth? What are the cards?
Chain Lightning.
Right, a red card.
Heirloom Blade.
An artifact, okay.
Generous Gift.
A white card, okay.
And saving the best for last, Kodama's Reach.
A green card. Have you noticed there are colors specifically left out of that blue?
Yeah. Demir is not represented at all.
Either that or Demir is so good at being hidden, they've secluded themselves or hidden themselves from the secret lair drop. But yeah, no, I don't play any of these cards. I don't like, I mean, I kind of play Generous Gift. I have Heirloom Blade in some of my decks in Commander. Kodama's Reach, get out of here. That's just nonsense. I like that. That's a green card. Yeah, I don't play any of these. And on top of that, are these cards that popular? I think Generous Gift and Kodama's Reach might be.
Yeah, those are the big ones. Chain Lightning, he's playing like Legacy Burn, but that's not really much of a thing. If it ever got printed into Modern, it would be a staple.
But then it would be
Heirloom Blade. I've never seen anyone play. Actually, is that a card that people play
in Commander? Yeah, I played in Commander, but lightly. Yeah,
even I don't play it.
And Richard loves his equipment. That's a bad sign for an equipment if Richard does not play it.
It's a tribal equipment card, right?
Yeah,
but it's fine. Just like
how do you not play this, Richard? I feel like this is Bird 101. Okay, this has got to be Bird 101.
It's no dousing dagger, that's for sure.
I mean, yeah, it really isn't. But yeah, like I think Heirloom Blade is played in Commander, but like on the fringe. And Chain Lightning, if you're gonna play that for like Legacy, unless you're like me and you like mixing and matching all your artworks, you probably want a play set. Right? So that's in a weird pickle. And the other cards, yeah, why wouldn't I just spend like $5 and just get this whole secret lair? I gotta
say I'm a little
it depends how much you like the art, right? Yeah, like I would pay $30 for a 5-cent common if I really like the art, right? In this case, I don't really care, right? So it's not worth it, right? So the other way you sell Secret Lair is you put $50 worth of cards and sell it for $20, right? That is also not the case. So in this case, I don't care about the Secret Lair whatsoever, right? But they could theoretically make a Secret Lair of 5 commons with like incredible art, and I would pay a lot of money for it. Right. So it really depends. But in this case, I'm not sure who the artist is. Maybe this is like a famous artist and like we're just not in the loop. And therefore they feel the artist has enough pull to like price it high. Or maybe this will be a discounted Secret Lair. But given that it's tied to PulseCon, I somehow doubt it. I think it'll be full price, if not more expensive. So, yeah.
I gotta say I'm a little disappointed that this is a con promo, because when I think of Magic con promos, I think of like the SDCC Planeswalkers. Remember like the black on black Planeswalkers, and like they did some really cool things. In this, why it's fine, and the art is, the art's fine, and I like it. It's not like my top tier Secret Lair drop, but it looks nice, but it's not innovative or groundbreaking or anything. So I'm kind of surprised that their exclusive is just another Secret Lair drop that we get, 3 times a month or something anyway, rather than doing something that was more like unique for this con in specific.
Like I would pay for Monopoly Man, whatever his name is, right? Like why not throw Hasbro IP on this to celebrate PulseCon, right? Like why not?
The artwork that is from Ayako Ishiguro. And I believe they're actually very well known in Japan.
Okay. That's cool.
I believe they're very well known in Japan.
But PulseCon is only available for US, Canadian, and UK fans only.
Fair. And to be honest with you, I do like the artwork of Heirloom Blade a lot. But I just like, I don't know if the artwork has to like be like on a bunch of cards that I think also are really, really cool. Or the artwork has to be out of this world, at like amazing. And there is one thing that kind of like makes me think that this will still be worth a lot though. There are cats.
People do love the cats. I know the original cat Secret Lair drop ended up being incredibly valuable. Like in hindsight, there's a lot of cards that the original printing is like $1, but the Secret Lair drop version is like $10 or something. Just random commander cats. So maybe that will get there. Although,
I mean,
these are cats that you don't necessarily play in your cat deck, like Chain. These aren't literal cats. They have cats in the artwork, but it's not like you play Chain Lightning in your cat tribal commander deck or whatever. Like, I guess Kadama's Reach you might.
You could Heirloom Blade.
You probably shouldn't, but you might if you're desperate. Generous Gift. I would probably play that as removal in a cat deck. Cat decks are usually white. So yeah, maybe that'll save it.
I mean, the Secret Lair that had cats was Selesnya, right? And to be honest with you, the like Generous Gift is great. Heirloom Blade, look, it's a cat equipment, right? Why not? And Kodama's Reach has a cat on it. So if there's one thing I've learned, it's that, in Commander, you'll see tons and tons of decks just built around artwork. So example, like I've built a Bolus deck that just has Bolus artwork in it, right? Like obviously Deliver Unto Evil isn't exactly the greatest card, but I play it anyways because it has Bolus on it to play the Bolus lands. So this might be popular just because there are cats on it. I mean, I didn't think the original cat drop would be worth much.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's true. People do love cats, so it does have that going for it. So anyway, that'll be coming up in a couple of months at PulseCon. Also, we got some news about Innistrad this week, kind of accidentally. A vendor posted on Amazon pre-orders for Innistrad boxes, and they listed box toppers, saying that the box comes with a box topper, and everyone's like, whoa, we hadn't heard about these box toppers. And then Wizards ended up confirming that yes, there are going to be box toppers with the Innistrad sets, which last time we saw these was Zendikar Rising, and that's when we got like the fetch lands, and I bought a ton of collector boosters of Zendikar Rising specifically because the box toppers added so much value, like being guaranteed a shot to get fetch lands and Cavern of Souls and Valakuts and a lot of really high value stuff with sweet art. That was a big pull for me for buying that set. So I assume we're going to be seeing something similar with our Innistrad sets. My question for all of you is, what do you want to see for box toppers? We got the land theme with Innistrad. Like, I guess you could do just old Innistrad reprints. Is there some other theme that you would associate with Innistrad? Because normally when Wizards does this, they are theme-based. Like Strixhaven, Mystical Archives were spells. We had lands with Zendikar Rising. What theme would fit for a return to Innistrad?
Oh, I got this because I've been literally sitting and thinking about this. Okay, we had the Mystical Archives, right? Yes. We also had the D&D modules, right? Okay. Old school black and white horror movie posters. Like, I think that'd be really cool. There's no way you go back to the horror, like the set that's like horror themed, right? And you've got vampires, you've got everything that you could ask for from the world of horror. And you could even do in the font, like imagine Creature from the Black Lagoon, right? You have all of that. You have like the Mummy, you have the monster universe, the Monsterverse, if you would. Even, I mean, I don't know if this is possible, but it'd even be fine. Like, I'd be okay with like how Ikoria had Godzilla. You put the Wolfman. I know this is just me going a little farther into the, like, in the Christmas land, but you know, why not? I'm going to humor it here. Okay. But like, that would be super rad. But okay, let's say we can't get Creature from Black Lagoon, Dracula, you know, the whole Monster Squad. That's fine. But black and white poster style artwork of like cards. Come on. We already had the music poster, right? The concert posters. We've had the metal artwork. How, like, if not in the main set, which I hope it is, then at least a secret layer drop that's themed that way, because they are missing out on a huge opportunity here if they don't.
That would actually be pretty excellent. I would love old horror movie poster art. That would be super cool. There's also a lot of like good reprints, even from Innistrad, old Innistrad sets. You got Lilianas and Snapcasters, and like Parallel Lives is $50 now. So you could reprint a bunch of old Innistrad cards, or you could just go hard on the theme and go old, you know, zombies and vampires. I'm sure if you dig through Magic's history, you can probably find enough high value cards that you could do that for box toppers and stick like pretty hard to the horror theme, flavor wise, along with art wise.
Yeah, like definitely. I would love to see that. And yeah, like imagine a horror artwork of like Snapcaster. Like
it's not
like,
gonna be Snapcaster. That's like not on theme, right? It's gotta be something like horror creatures, right? So like zombies,
mad scientists,
werewolves, vampires. There's not enough mad scientists to be a theme.
But that is horror though, right? Like that is still horror, so they could run with that. I mean, okay.
But the Strixhaven Mystical Archive is like a theme, right? It's like Spellslinger. Strixhaven is about slinging spells, so that's what they're using. What was Amonkhet? Like the cards that no one can read. There were spells, right?
They were like hate cards mostly, right? Weren't they like?
What was the official theme?
Blood moons and chokes, and they were winter orbs.
Invocations.
It was just literally hate cards.
Magic card wise, though, I think they were mostly hate cards. Yeah.
Blood
like
moon,
they were all
damnation.
Yeah, it was.
So it had to be
like
something
posers.
like maybe removal if you want to go like spells or something, or like the horror creatures. I think zombie, werewolf, vampire would be a good one. It's gotta be some theme like that. It can't just be like Innistrad reprints, I don't think.
No. But I mean, like I'm saying, imagine just like they took cards also just from that also could fit into the slot of the world of horror, right? And so you take a Snapcaster mage, you turn him into a mad scientist with like crazy wild like gray hairs all over the place, right? Kind of like the person that would make a Frankenstein, and like there's so many things that you could do there with that, and like they just make it so they take cards that we've loved and just put it through the world of horror. And I think that'd be really cool. Like if
I think they could do that to some extent. Like Snapcaster, I could definitely see that. There'd be other things like, I don't know, Avacyn or something. I don't know how it would be weird to see like horror version of some characters, but I think you could get away with doing quite a bit of that and like stretch it, and I think it would actually be kind of cool.
Right. And then or like just maybe making it, as I said, a black white like almost like a horror movie poster, right? Like how they used to do the horror movie posters. Because they already have the modules, so that means you know that they're willing to get pretty wild with their artworks.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely hyped for it. I think from just a super practical perspective, box toppers add a lot of value to packs. Like, yeah, the ones from Zendikar Rising were insane because you had all the fetch lands and some other really good lands. But even if they're not that insane, just getting a free box topper is almost always better than getting whatever the buy a box promo is for a set, just value wise. Like, and usually with collector's boosters and things like that, they often give you multiple guaranteed. So I'm hyped for it from a person who loves to crack packs perspective too, because box toppers are usually a pretty easy justification to crack open some packs. Like I said, I bought a lot of Zendikar Rising and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out because now I got a bunch of fetch lands just from cracking open those boxes. So I'm definitely excited to see them returning, and I hope Wizards keeps doing it more because I think box toppers are a good thing just all around for players and probably for Wizards too, because it helps them sell boxes.
Yeah.
It makes standard cheap, right? It drives down the prices of your mythics and rares because the value is being held in the box toppers. So good.
Yeah, that another benefit. Doesn't work on Arena as much though, unfortunately.
Just also, I just thought about that right now, like how we were talking about the horror style cards. Like, how cool would it be to see a Phyrexian Obliterator or something like that in a horror movie poster? Like, they do it in like I don't know, it came from the deep or the dark and yada 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 on the poster, and then it's just like a picture, kind of like of the Obliterator in black and white. Oh man, I got myself too excited on that idea, and it's totally not gonna happen.
All right, one other bit of news, and then we're gonna answer some fish mail. Little bit of news about Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. There are a couple of things that came out on Mark Rosewater's blogatog this week. One being future sets that are not Magic and are using other IPs will not be premier sets, which we kind of knew that with Universes Beyond, where Wizards had said those were not going to be standard sets, but apparently that applies to future D&D sets too, which they mentioned they might make if the D&D set was, pretty well selling. And the other news that came out is that Forgotten Realms is going to go down as one of the best selling sets of all time based on early results. So I guess that's good news. Did you have any doubts that the D&D set was going to do well, or were you pretty set as soon as you heard it that, okay, a lot of people are going to buy this set?
Oh yeah. The fact that it's D&D, that's got a pretty big pool of people, right? From all over. And I know tons of people that have just gotten into Magic because of this set. This makes it's not a surprise to me whatsoever.
Yeah, I think by default every set is the greatest selling set, right? Like you usually, if Magic is growing, by default that's the case, and especially in this case when they have the classic modules and all like the special arts that D&D players can gravitate towards, and plus the intersection of D&D players and Magic players is very high. That will grab all those people back into the game or newly into the game. So I don't think it's too much of a surprise. Does it like we always ask this question, right? Like standard kind of sucked, or didn't do much for standard initially, but it's the greatest set of all time, so it's fine, right? So yeah, as long as Wizards keeps on this trajectory, it's okay, I guess. We keep getting new players, which is good.
Yeah, best-selling set of all time is always a good thing, and I assume that we'll see the same thing when we get Universes Beyond sets, even though they're not standard legal. I'm expecting when we do get Lord of the Rings and we do get all those other crossovers, those are probably going to sell really well too. And if it's bringing new players into the game, that's, I think, a positive at least, even if it's a little bit weird and some people don't like it. And I get that, but bringing new players is a good thing and keeping the community growing is a good thing. So it looks like Adventures in the Forgotten Realms is gonna be a big win. So Wizards took a bit of a chance, I guess, and it ended up paying off in this case, which is cool. Good to see.
Do you think Midnight Hunt will be the best selling set of all time?
Yeah, I would not be surprised. That combines everything.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe.
Players love Innistrad. It's a big fall set. It's got box toppers. It's got the horror theme that can kind of make it relevant to not hardcore Magic fans. Like kind of the stuff we were talking about before. Maybe you just like monster movies and so forth, and maybe that'll draw you in. So I wouldn't be surprised if Innistrad crushes it this fall.
But more like,
you don't think so, Krim?
Well, I don't know if it'll do. Okay, it's using a lot of werewolves, right? I know this is more so like maybe just like speculation, but I think that werewolves don't sell as well as vampires. So if Crimson Vow moved first, I think that it would have sold more, right? I mean, how often do you hear it's like, man, of the monster movies, I sure hope I get to be a werewolf over a vampire. I'm sure you've heard people like both.
Wow, Twilight fans like shattered here.
like
Werewolves are important too.
No, I mean, like, but the thing is, everybody that loves Twilight, what do they want? They want to be the vampire, or they want to be in love with a vampire, right? Whatever. The point here is
Our
that
comment
it's
section.
I mean, yes, Team Jacob, whatever. But the thing is, that's like the second movie, okay? So, like, the thing is, I think vampires sell better than werewolves. I love
I think
werewolves.
you're looking way too deep into this.
Am I just looking way too deep?
Set. Yeah, cool. I've been waiting for rotation.
But what
buy
makes
all the packs, right?
But what makes it amazing and sell more? Example, like why D&D is the highest selling set, right? Is because it's D&D. It's got the boost of the D&D, right? So there is some amount of marketing and whatnot out there that relies on the fact that like the stuff that's on these cards, you know, it kind of matters, right? The D&D set showing you that it's one of the best selling, and when people arguably say that they hate the set design wise, or it's like so polarized, it's like they either love it or hate it. It tells you that, hey, I mean, the set will sell if you just put cool cards on there.
I think the power level of Innistrad will more than make up. Right, like
maybe it does.
So for D&D, like if you actually cared about standard and stuff like that, even power level questionable, but you know, you love D&D, you jump in. Those people that jumped in at D&D will continue to buy, you know, Magic cards. So they'll buy Innistrad, but then all these people waiting for rotation, waiting for powerful cards, Innistrad will get them to buy more cards, right? And then box toppers and things like that. So you know, I would expect every set to be the greatest selling set ever, right? Like I just expect the growth of Magic to keep going up, and I think especially for the fall set will always be special, right? It's like the Eldraine, right? Like it's always powerful, it's always flashy, you know. It's an awesome theme that everyone loves, right? Everyone loves horror, right? And they're gonna have some cool border. They have box toppers, so I think like everything points to it being the greatest selling set of all time until the next set, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I buy that argument. I think like it's easy to have the best selling set of all time as long as the player base keeps growing. Because but naturally you're gonna have the best selling set of all time because you got more players buying your product. So unless the set is really bad and everyone like actively hates it, and then even then, I don't know, like if you judge the Magic community, everyone hated or many people hated the Walking Dead Secret Lair drop, and then that was like the best selling lair drop of all time or one of them. So even that might not actually matter. But I think you're right. It's easy to keep having the best selling set as long as the player base keeps growing. And I feel like Innistrad has a lot more going for it as well. It's like iconic and nostalgic, and it's got box toppers, and it's a beloved plane. So I see what you're saying, Krim, and I think that I would agree that probably vampires are more iconic or popular than werewolves, but I'm not sure it's actually going to matter in the end. I think people are just going to buy, you know, a boatload of probably both Innistrad sets. And I think the werewolf one might win out because it's the rotation set. And that's the jumping back in point. If you're someone who's like not been playing much standard recently because you haven't been enjoying it or whatever, that's the box you want to get to jump back into standard for the next year. So I think that might outweigh the fact that vampires are like, you know, a higher tier, whatever, horror creature type than werewolves are.
I think rotation will help sell. Yes.
Yeah.
Rotation, it like the set could be Peter Pan, right? Like it like whatever, it doesn't matter. It could be like Eggo's waffles. It would sell amazing as long as it's right after the rotation of Eldraine. So I'm like maybe it will be the best selling set, not because of any other reason than it's the set that Eldraine left.
What if the set was based on the Street Fighter movie?
Best set of all time.
Was it really that bad?
It's bad, Richard. Like, it's really bad, Richard. Please
I
watch
really
it
enjoyed
again.
it as a child, you know? Don't shatter my dreams.
Have you watched it again?
I don't think I will. I think some things are just better
Keep
left.
the good memories.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's all of our topics. We got a few minutes today, so let's hit up some fish mail.
All right. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air. The big large. If everything but Circle of Loyalty rotated, would Eldraine still be the best set in Standard?
Wait.
Obviously.
Did any of you guys manage to force Circle of Loyalty into anything useful? The time is running out.
I've tried. I tried playing. I tried forcing that card and everything. I'm like, yo, the fact that this is legendary really hurts me.
Yeah, I've tried it in Modern for Against the Odds. I've played Standard decks with it. It's okay in like Standard nights, but even there, it's not especially good. So yeah, yeah,
It's okay. I would say
poor
it's
us.
pretty generous. I mean, look. I'll be honest with you. Okay, even if everything rotated, I think the card. No, hold on. It couldn't get played anywhere. Actually.
What would Standard look like if Circle of Loyalty was the only legal card? Who wins?
I mean, okay, if it weren't legendary, would it be better?
Yeah, I think it would be better because its main value, I think, is being an anthem for your knights. Although it would take away the downside of like casting extra copies to get a knight. But yeah, I think non-legendary would definitely make it significantly more powerful. And I think the biggest issue is that like it's so narrow compared to the good members of that cycle. Like the Great Henge just wants you to play creatures. Embercleave just wants you to play creatures. The Circle of Loyalty, I wonder if they could have gotten rid of the knight restriction. I think that's how you power it up, is you just have it give a cost reduction based on creatures on the battlefield. It can still make knight tokens if you want to, that's perfectly fine. But I think that's the biggest thing, is that like you gotta be knight tribal, and even in knight tribal it's like kind of okay. If it was just like a generic card that worked with any creature type, then maybe we'd be getting somewhere. I still don't think it would be great, but then I think maybe like White Weenie or something could play it and it might be pretty decent.
Okay.
Nah. I mean, looking at what the meta game is and what kind of things we're playing, like this is just not powerful enough, right?
Brazen Borrow would still bounce it.
I think it's just maybe in a different meta game it could be good, but in our meta, like this is too slow and does nothing and is not useful.
I figured it out. How you would make it good is because the others do something almost immediately, right? The blue one doesn't.
Pumps your team.
The magic mirror is like irrelevant, right? But what if it entered the battlefield? You got like 2 knights, 3 knights out of that,
and pumped your creatures. Then we'd be talking.
Ooh. Then
Yeah,
that
right?
would be a real card.
It has to do something, and the thing is, it kind of just enters the board. It pumps your team, but that's great if you have a board. And if you have a board, you're probably in a very good spot when it comes to how many knights is needed to make that card castable. So I don't know. I think if it entered the battlefield and made some knights on top of that card would have been good.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Reflexive bias. Hey guys, would Archon of Cruelty have been too powerful and had Delve? Would giving Archon Delve allow it to reach the same power level as Flumph?
Well,
nothing's as strong as Flump outside of Circle of Loyalty, maybe.
Flump should have had Delve.
Flump aside, Archon of Cruelty is already a really strong card. It's already a card that sees play in Modern. It has become like the go-to reanimation target. So I think if you gave it Delve, it would be broken. Like that. Then you're talking like
Hogak.
One of the best creatures
Hogak,
in Modern.
but
Good, yeah.
2 mana? Like that's...
Oh yeah.
You can dump your graveyard pretty quick. So 2 mana for an Archon of Cruelty is pretty disgusting.
I mean,
and its ETB is what, like a 4-for-1 or something?
It's
like that's a lot of value.
Yeah. I mean, it's good enough to where I played a deck that used the whatever the footsteps of the Gorios, and and it just brought it.
Just to get the ETB.
Yeah, just to get
Like,
the
you
ETB.
get it and sack it, and yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was hilarious. But in Modern right now, there was a deck. I just played a deck and filmed a video for Mono Black, and it uses Cabal Coffers and Urborg. So even if you can't reanimate these cards, you can legitimately just cast Archon. And even when I couldn't cast Archon, I just brought it back with the Gorios thing, and it felt actually not that powerful compared to Modern. But hold on, now as I think about it, hold on, it was just good enough against a mid-range deck, but I don't think it's that busted. So maybe it could use Delve.
No, please no.
Hold on.
Would you be saying the same things if it was a green card? If it was like Golgari
Well, if it was a green
colors?
card, it's expected. like the green card, we wouldn't have this discussion. If it was a green card, it would already have Delve, and it would do more.
Next question. 72J Fisher. With Crib and Seth being musicians, when are we getting the MTG Goldfish band? I'm sure Richard can sing and Tomer can play the abacus.
Yeah.
Look,
We gotta do that sometime. We've talked about
Phil
it a little
plays,
bit.
right? I think
yeah,
you
and
can
then
actually
Phil
put together a
also
legit
plays.
band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That we'll go on tour. We'll go tour local game shops, do a little concert, and then play some Magic.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Benjamin with wait, did we talk about this last week? I'm not even sure. In your opinion, is there an unfun way to play Commander? There is. We talked about this.
Is
There?
there?
We talked
Did
about
we?
Flesh and Blood. Yes, we did.
Wait. Did you say?
Oh yeah.
No, wait.
We did. There's certain
Flesh and
strategies that are unfun or not. And then we basically said Crim. No.
I must have tuned that whole part out. What?
2D, two-dimensional. Would it be possible to add a changelog feature to the Goldfish deck builder? After making changes to a deck, it would list what was added and removed. It would make it much easier to edit decks online and make changes in paper.
Ooh.
I think that is a pretty cool thing. The problem is we have like way too many decks, and that would like quadruple the size of our decks. But I think that's cool because I have that issue too where I edit my deck and then I'm like, how do I update my paper deck? Like what exactly just changed? So I think that's a pretty cool suggestion.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
All right, so that's all the questions we have time for this week. Thank you to everyone who sent them in. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air.
Before we close out, though,
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Grim.
I was just curious. Like, can we also add something to the website where it's like Seth's winking face? You know, and like as a rating system on how, like, example, if you're playing a card that's Seth approved, you know, it just has like, this has got 3 winking Seths next to the card. Oh, this must be a good card. It must be budget friendly. So put Tomer's face there. You know, I'm just saying.
Just one Panharmonicon.
Yeah, just
We'll get you there.
Oh, you know how long it would take to go through and rate every card in Magic, though? I would not be looking forward to that.
But think about the payoff when someone submits a text.
That's for your next top 10 video.
it would be
How many winking sets does this card deserve?
Does it go? Every Soul Sisters card would have 5 winking sets.
Yes, those are all 5 winkers. Oh, anyway, on that note, I think that brings us to the end of episode 343 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So, Richard, Krim, thanks for hanging out. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to Guard Conduit for supporting the show. And we will be back next week to talk about whatever goes on at tomorrow's big 2022 product announcement, maybe some spoilers and anything else that goes on in the world of Magic. So until then, have a spectacular week, everyone. And this is the crew signing out.